This is the second Pythagoras video for this week. So I'm just going to call it Pythagoras 2. So, last time we looked at Pythagoras and we used it to find a side in our triangle. We drew some squares, and even though it's a GCSE topic, it wasn't too bad at all. Today we're going to be using exactly the same method. So remember our famous theorem that we're using, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So that's what we're using. And we were drawing some really helpful pictures to help us. So let's draw a triangle. Again, I'm not so worried about how big this is. It probably won't have a nice answer or a whole number answer. And always label your right angle like that. Okay, so I'm going to put 13 here, and I'm going to put 9 here. Right, so this already looks just a little bit different because we haven't had a number on the hypotenuse before, but our method is going to be exactly the same. So remember, how do we label it? C always goes opposite the right angle, and then A and B don't matter. So I'm going to put A here and B here, but it doesn't matter at all. You could have swapped them round and had A and B, and that would have given us exactly the same. So remember, we're going to draw, quite unusual, but we're going to draw our equation. So that's going to be A, that's going to be the A squared, and then I'm going to have my B squared. So squared means times it by itself, and it's actually how you work out the area of a square. So it all comes together in a nice picture like this, and then C squared like that. Now remember my C square, I tend to draw it a bit bigger to remind me that the C, the hypotenuse, is the longest side. Right, so this is my A, this is my B, and this is my C. Right, well let's look. What's A? Well, I don't have any information about A at all. So I'm just going to have to leave my A square blank. How about my B square? Well, look, I've got a 9. So I'm going to put a 9 on both sides. 9 times 9 is 81. And then how about my C? Well, look, C is 13. So I'm going to put a 13 and a 13. You might not know 13 times 13, that's okay. So either type in 13 times 13 or 13 squared. That gives me 169. So, what do we need to do now? Well, we need to work out what number goes in that box. Something, add 81 equals 169. So what is that something? In order to work out what that something is, we're going to do 169 take away 81. We're going to say, what is that something? Something plus 81 equals 169. So I'm going to take away that 81. And that gives me 88. So I'm going to put 88 in that box. So remember, 88 isn't my answer. My answer is going to be whatever number goes on the edge of my square. So remember how we do this? We type in square root of 88. It's given me a funny answer, so I press that SD button, which gives me 9 point, and then it's a 3, but that 8 tells me I'm going to round up. So I'm going to put 9.4 on the edge of my square, like that. So my answer, A equals 9.4. Okay? We'll do one more of them, then I'll let you get on. I'm going to try drawing my triangle a little bit differently this time, because your triangles won't always be that way up. So see if you can copy this triangle. Remember, you can shut me up and pause me if you want, like that. I'm going to draw my triangle like that. So that's still 90 degrees, isn't it? That's still a corner, but this time my triangle looks like it's been rotated a little bit. So I'm going to, you can stop me if you need to. I'm going to carry on. So I'm going to put 9 there, and I'm going to put a 2 there. Okay, so our job is to find this other side. But look, we need to label it. where does C go? C always goes opposite the right angle. So here's the right angle. Go, look out, go opposite. So he's C. And then I've got A and B, and it doesn't matter. I'm going to put A here and B here. But it doesn't matter. You could have A and B. We'd get exactly the same thing. So remember, let's write our equation. That tells the examiner that I know exactly what I'm doing. And possibly even gets me a mark with my good labelling as well. And then I'm going to draw my squares. So I've got my A turned into a square, like A squared. Then I've got my plus, and then I've got my B turned into a square, like B squared. And that equals C, and I'm going to draw a bigger C to remind me that C is always the longest length, like that. Right, so this is my square for A. Well, what's A? A is 2, so I'm going to have a 2 and a 2, and 2 times 2 is 4. And then I'm going to have, this is my square for B. What's my B? Well, I don't know anything about B. I'll have to leave in blank for now. And how about C? Well, C is 9. So I'm going to have 9 and 9. 9 times 9 is 81. Okay, so 4 plus something equals 81. So remember, in order to get this, I do 81 take away 4, which is 77. So I'm going to have 77 in that box. Check. 4 add 77 is 81. Okay, so what do you need to do now? We need to work out the number that goes on the edge of this square. So on the calculator, type in square root of 77. That's going to give me it as a surd. I'm going to leave it as a square root. So I'm going to press the SD button, and that swaps it. 8.7. But then look, the next number is a 7, so I need to round up that 7. So I'm going to have 8.8. 8.8. And remember, we'll try and write down that that is the square root of 77. Then that shows the examiner that we remember all the skills that we need. And then don't forget, pop it on here, 8.8. Okay, so just like last time, this is the only difference, isn't it? This taking away part. But your method looks exactly the same. So I'd like you now to have a little go at worksheet 2. But as always, read the instructions on Show My Homework as to what I would like you to submit. They're not big worksheets. Okay, so read the instructions on Show My Homework really, really carefully. And as always, I'm here if you get stuck. Bye.